You can just sit and observe, and you realize this mind chatter is not actually part of you, consciousness, the real I. So my question was, okay, you've got to get across this mind, yeah, to get enlightenment, yeah. Well, what the hell is mind then? What is it? What is this barrier you talk about? And this is what I conclude in the dream, that what we call mind is AI. And it's an AI program running through the biological computer. And it's the biological computer through the five senses that locks us into the matrix, this level of the matrix. If you only are driven, you're perceptually driven only by mind, then when you leave the womb, when you leave this reality, is already known. It's a program. You're going to go through a program, and the AI is going to run you. It's going to run you. And so the only way, the way to override the program of mind is to expand beyond that perceptual program and let your true I come in, consciousness. And what happens is, and this is awakening, this is what we call awakening, once you let consciousness in, then it sees things that the AI mind is programmed not to see, because I don't want you to see it. And to awaken is to awaken from this AI mind.
Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Monday, August 19th, 2024. The mantra stands: we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. Thank you for joining us on X, Rumble, and YouTube in the live chat here. Thank you, Jeanette, for your generous contribution. And Grierson, good to see you, my friend. I see Robert is here. Haven't seen you in a moment. Edith is here. Amy is here. Lori, welcome. Voluntary de-occultist Jason Ness, or Kness. Ness, I would assume. K silent, isn't it? Michelle is here. Lisa, welcome. Ronnie, thank you so much for being an awesome moderator. Dear friend, thank you. Trudy is here. Ivan is here. Oh my goodness, the whole crew. Thank you so much for tuning in. All righty. I think I poked the bear one more time by calling this the awesome power of negative thinking. But in light of recent events and in light of a continuous struggle with certain subjects that people have, we really wanted to dive deeper into thinking, how it works, and actually debunk a lot of myths along the way. Oh, thank you. Who ate my hat? Appreciate it. So today we're going to talk about not just negative thinking, but we're going to go beyond that. But I want to prove that 95% of the things that people were taught, that people read in self-help books and were taught in seminars, is vastly incomplete or flat out wrong. And also point to what the actual solutions are and why this is being hidden from people, because it's truly a secret. That's what they never want people to figure out. So let's look into negative thinking here for a little bit. If I can pull up this, actually, I'm going to have to do this again, I think. Just give me one moment. It should be here in a second. And then I think we can dive in this subject together. All righty, here it's coming. Processing. Here we go. What did I do wrong again? Nothing. All righty. Well, let's start with positive thinking. A lot of you know this. A lot of you have accused me that I don't think positive enough. So let's go into positive thinking. Positive thinking refers to the mental attitude of focusing on the brighter side of life, expecting favorable results, and maintaining a mindset of optimism even in challenging situations. Positive thinkers view setbacks as temporary, and approach problems with a solution-oriented attitude. This mental framework can influence emotions, actions, and ultimately outcomes. You all might have heard of people like Dale Carnegie, Tony Robbins, Louise Hay, Napoleon Hill, are just some of the famous positive thinkers who've taught many others to approach or to adapt this kind of thinking. Now, there's nothing wrong with positive thinking. Don't, you know? So I want to say it flat out. Let's look at negative thinking. What's negative thinking? While positive thinking is often emphasized, negative thinking can also have significant value, particularly when applied strategically. This approach, known as defensive pessimism, involves anticipating challenges and preparing for worst case scenarios, which can lead to better problem solving and decision making. Famous and successful negative thinkers include Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Andy Grove, the founder of Intel, Tim Ferriss, an author, and quite a few others. And I want to quickly stay on this here. So there's this perception in the world that positive thinking equals success and negative thinking equals failure. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have probably said, yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, you can't think negative and achieve success. I was proven wrong so many times, I can't even tell you. I've met incredibly what I would consider in my value system negative people who are extremely successful at what they do. I've also met extremely positive people. This is more so that always worry about what they think and make sure that they think only positive thoughts, that have incredible life challenges, never seem to really create significant change in their lives, and they are usually the ones who make sure that the billion-dollar self-help industry is continually fed with a lot of money because they keep coming, buying the new books that say the same things, going to the next seminar that does the same thing, and not achieving significant results. What could we consider to be results? Here's the thing. There's almost no one that I have ever met that doesn't want to be better, have better, feel better. Like, everybody is on a constant, at least or at least even if they don't admit it to themselves, but everybody wants to level up. Nobody wants to feel worse. Everybody wants to feel better. So people are looking every day for strategies on how to accomplish this. What I wanted to show is that in terms of how people define success, there are multiple approaches. And for example, the founder of Intel, um, Andy Grove, he is one that lays out the worst case scenarios, looks at the competition, makes it all about that struggle and how to avoid that, and how to make sure that the worst case scenario never comes to fruition. That wouldn't work for many people, but it worked for Intel. It worked for this company. So just wanted to touch on the basics here. Let's move forward, my friends. Okay, so here are some success stories. I just mentioned Andy Grove, approach famous for saying only the paranoid survive. That doesn't sound very positive. Grove believed in anticipating worst case scenarios to ensure that Intel stayed ahead of competitors, and they did. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, his approach, he employs radical transparency and constantly focuses on worst case scenarios in the financial markets to minimize risk in investment decisions, and is highly successful doing that. Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla, SpaceX, the free speech hero and rebel, I'm sorry, I'm sarcasm off. Musk frequently discusses the potential for failure in his ambitious projects, such as Mars colonization, allowing him to build contingency plans and drive innovation. Okay, so he's also one that's kind of known in the circles for playing out the worst case scenarios. What could failure look like? And then build from that. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, approach known for being critical and constantly unsatisfied with the status quo. Jobs' negative thinking led to the constant refinement of Apple products, pushing his team to perfection. So here you see, these are just some of the examples of how people created something that the entire world knows. And I'm not saying this is good or bad, by the way. I'm just saying how they did that, and how positive thinking wasn't necessarily what was driving them, okay? We're going to go deeper. Here's the truth. Both positive thinking and negative thinking are brain thinking. What that means is that both come from the same sphere. The positive thoughts and the negative thoughts are all, either conclusions or journeys to conclusions that you have when you analyze the information that's stored in your brain, all the information that you receive through senses, and then you either direct that thought in what you perceive to be positive direction, or you direct it in something that you perceive a negative direction. But both come from this thinking sphere. Okay, so they're not inherently coming from different places. They are products of thought processes in our brains. So you could say that both positive and negative thinking are two sides of the same coin. This is something that people have challenge with, but this is the truth. It is basically the frame of mind that you choose while looking at any given situation or problem. And you can choose either, but here's the thing too. Your interpretation of positive might be the next person's interpretation of negative, right? So there's someone who will say they are building a shoe company, sneakers. Okay. They're wanting to get into the sneakers market and sports shoes. And so they have Reebok and Nike and all these brands as competitors. And so their goal of this new brand is to crush the competition. Okay. Crush them, put them out of business. That's their goal. They will achieve that most likely by becoming so successful and either pricing the others out or just becoming so good that nobody wants to buy the other product. Doesn't matter. But if their goal is to crush the competition, that in their frame of mind is positive thinking. In the frame of mind of the competitors, that's negative, because if they succeed, they will go out of business. That is negative. So it's all in the perception of your frame of mind, of your perspective. That's important to notice, that positive and negative are not universal concepts. They are merely charges. Like you have a magnetic positive charge and a negative charge. They're not better or worse. They're just opposites. Okay. This is difficult to perceive from a human perspective, but we're going to go deeper. Okay. What is thinking? Thinking is the cognitive process of generating ideas, making decisions, and solving problems. It involves various mental activities. Very important. Remember that. Mental activities that include analyzing, reflecting, reasoning, and conceptualizing. There are different types of thinking, including critical thinking, creative thinking, abstract thinking, analytical thinking, and so forth. What is really important is to remember it's a mental activity. It has its place. It's important. Most people don't know how to do it, but it is very important. But there are greater truths, okay? And we're going to go into that. Who is the thinker? And you're going to say, well, wait a minute. What are you talking about here? I am the thinker. That's what most people say. I say, who is thinking your thoughts? Well, I am. Who? Who exactly? And here, I'll give you an example. And it's, I think, something that almost everyone can relate to. Okay. Have you ever experienced a sleepless night where your thoughts are racing and you can't seem to stop them? It's what people call sometimes a panic attack. There's nothing happening in your environment. Your thoughts are racing. After a while, you calm yourself down enough that you simply become the observer of those thoughts. Wait a minute. At that point, who is the thinker and who is the observer? This is really important. I want you to really imagine this for a second, because we've all experienced it. Either there's a stressful situation in your life, there's something that you worry about, what doesn't matter. You wake up or you lay awake at night and it's just racing, and it's so hard because you can't seem to stop them, and eventually you become a little calmer and you still watch your thoughts race, but you're not actively involved any longer. Now, who at that point is watching those thoughts? Same when you go in meditation or deep prayer. And when you are in this expanded state, you tend to see the thoughts as they come and go and come and go. So, who does the thinking when you're just observing? And this is one of the key elements. If we want to truly understand how change happens in our lives and how change happens generally, we need to be able to go beyond what is happening between our ears. Okay? While thinking is a mental activity and limited to whatever you already know or are able to perceive with your physical senses, observing can happen from a higher place. Elevated consciousness has the ability to observe situations from a more detached perspective and perceive virtually unlimited amounts of data or impressions. And there are, again, numerous examples of when people in extraordinary situations have described that they were either floating above their body, they had an out of body experience, and that could be either extreme pain or that could be also extreme joy. Like people have experienced that when something so good happens to them, that they are almost floating outside of the body, observing the situation of joy from a higher place. Again, people that have had were pronounced dead or were brain dead or heart dead, whatever, have often described how they float above the scene as the observer, which clearly can't be at that point the thinker in the body any longer because the brain doesn't function. So that uh, that awareness is what we call consciousness, and it is not an inherent part of this human avatar that we're in. It can move in and out of it. However, for most people, most people are not even aware of that part really, and they don't see consciousness as something beyond the brain, something beyond what electrical signals produce in our bodies. But it is. The proof is in the pudding. If consciousness and awareness can experience something when the body has shut down and the brain doesn't work any longer and nothing functions any longer, then that part is clearly not the body. Okay, let's move forward. Transcendental thinking. Transcendental thinking refers to a process where an individual seeks to go beyond empirical knowledge and physical reality, so beyond their experiences, focusing instead on spiritual and metaphysical or transcendental ideas. This mode of thinking aims to transcend ordinary experience and material limitations to gain a deeper understanding of existence, consciousness, and universal truths. It is detached from emotions humans usually experience in the physical realm and void of wants and needs. Now, this is where we go deeper, much deeper down a rabbit hole. So the question that most people are pondering is whether positive thinking can have a positive influence on their lives. And I've said this before and I'll say this again, of course it can, but it is very, very limited to the range of experiences that you already know or can perceive or can imagine from the place between your ears. See, just look at this. The place between your ears is it occupies a certain space, but not more or less. The brain has a certain size, not more, not less. If you use it as a closed circuit, right? A closed circuit that only uses the information that it already has or that it can perceive through its sensors, sight, smell, taste, touch, those few senses. Your ability to formulate thoughts is very limited. Hence, your life experience does not significantly change simply by thinking a few different thoughts. However, transcendental thinking, which at first is not even a thinking experience, it means to move beyond that And into what do we move? Let's look a little further here. So your reality does not reflect what you think about most. It reflects who and what you are and how you direct your consciousness. Now, here we go. Here we are slowly but surely tapping into the real truths. So people have so often said, don't focus on something, don't think about something, or you will attract or create more of it. Bullshit. Let me for a moment think of a pink elephant that is walking through my kitchen. I'm really imagining it deeply. I can see the elephant. Um, hold on. Is there an elephant? So, not yet. Let's see if it appears. Let's see if the pink elephant appears. Most thoughts, most like 99.999% of your thoughts never come to fruition. They never manifest. And they never materialize. Now, why is that? Because most of your thoughts do not have a lot of power behind them. They can be, you think a thought because you observe something on a TV show, in a movie, and for a moment you ponder that and then you move on. It doesn't have a lot of effect on your life, right? So what does? Your beliefs and perceptions run as a computer program and dictate your reactions, thoughts, and decisions. What does that mean? While your beliefs and perceptions are stored deeper in your subconsciousness, your everyday reactions, thoughts, and decisions are coming from your present moment awareness. Okay? What does that mean? So, this is a big one. You're sitting here and you're thinking something, and you are thinking that this is A, the truth, and B, this is what you believe. Maybe you believed something else 2 weeks ago, but now you believe this new thing and you think this is the truth. What has usually not changed is the program, which is much, much deeper. When are programs created? Generally speaking, for the vast majority of people, well, for everyone, the programs are created between the ages of 0 and 7 years. That is when the brain is forming, and that's where our level of consciousness is in a vastly different state than later on. So what we receive in terms of information, what we observe, what our trusted elders tell us, parents, grandparents, teachers, whatever, we usually absorb like sponges. And we formulate belief systems that are similar to a computer program. It becomes hardwired because the way that your brain creates these connections, those neural connections, and so it becomes hardwired into your system. It does not matter beyond that point, because when you go through your teenage years and your rebel years, you become, in your perception, the opposite of that which your parents taught you. You rebel against them. But your hardwired circuitry will still revert to those belief systems that you formed between the ages of 0 and 7. Why? Because they are in the software, they're in what runs the computer. And your thoughts are simply what you type on the screen. What you type on the screen in your Word program or Pages program does not change the software underneath it. You can write whatever you want. It doesn't change what the software puts out and is capable of doing. So I'll read this again. While your beliefs and perceptions are stored deeper in your subconsciousness, your everyday reactions, thoughts, and decisions are coming from your present moment awareness. So you think that the way that you react is based on what your awakening thoughts are. But the truth is that the way that you usually react comes from those old beliefs. You're just not aware of it. Okay. So changing your thoughts, doing affirmations, and writing in your gratitude journal are all mental activities that usually don't reach into the subconscious and have very limited success. So if you sit down today and you write down those positive affirmations, let's just say you have a lunch break, you have 10 minutes, you sit down and you take out your journal, you write those positive affirmations and what you're grateful for. Yes, now that will have some positive effect. But 9 out of 10 times, that alone will not change your reality. It will not change your life experience. It will not make your life inherently better. Why? In order to create substantial changes in the subconscious, you must transcend the state you're in and move into an elevated state of consciousness. In other words, you can't solve a problem from the same mind that created the problem. Your current life, whatever you are experiencing, is a reflection of who you were until now. This can be challenging to accept, but this is the truth. Whatever you dominantly expressed in your life, that is, you can see it by what you created in your life. This is how consciousness recognizes itself, by the way, through our creations. So, if you want to change what you are living, you need to change what's inside. And you can only change that by altering your state of perception, by altering your state of consciousness. You have to rise above it. You have to come in an altered state of mind. Otherwise, it's the same power or two powers pushing against each other that have the same strength. So they cancel each other out. There's nothing happening. This is where the great frustration of years of doing affirmations, buying all the self-help books, reading them over and over again, buying the new ones that are just repackaged, going to the seminars, and trust me, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some very valuable ones out there. Few, but there are some. But this is why nothing significantly changes and you keep coming to the same crossroads in your life. Specific types of prayers, mantras, and meditations allow you to achieve that elevated or altered state of consciousness. From that higher place, you can bring cleansing and transforming your programs and beliefs. In other words, if you have the intention, and there's only, for most people, there are only few intentions really that they want in their lives. And I'm not even saying your why is none of my business. Most people want either better health, it's important, a wonderful relationship, unlimited or abundant finances, or simply a life of more freedom. Okay, so this is the mainly, right? Today it's becoming a little broader. People want to build community or have a family, which is all in the relationship category, and living self sufficient and all that is part of the freedom category. So you still fall into one of those categories. And when people want to do that, then once you define what it is that you would like to experience or live in your life, simply thinking about it will probably frustrate you more than it will help you. The question is, who are you while you are thinking about it? And what is in your way? So, who you are while you're thinking about it means you're either without restrictions and without resistance moving in the direction of your dreams. And then that is a forward, beautiful movement that does exactly what it needs to do and will achieve its objectives. Or you are experiencing and giving yourself resistance and blockages that does not allow you then to move in that direction. So who you are determines it, not what you think. Even your actions only begin to become fruitful when who you are while you take those actions is unrestricted and unlimited. Most people have never questioned or changed the belief systems, the programs that they were instilled with from 0 to 7. It is hard work because you have to go into a altered and deeper state of perception to even unlock all of those belief systems. But here's a simple exercise that you can do even with your more awake awareness. So, we once at one of our retreats, we had a great guy, funny guy. I mean, I won't mention his name. Funny guy that I really enjoyed meeting, and he was always had a joke on his lips, and just a joy to be around. And Saturday during our retreats, which usually the day when we went deep into those belief systems, and that is when resistance comes up in people, because believe it or not, for most people, subconsciously, the devil they know is better than the unknown that is out there. So we talked about, because to this person, money was a big thing. Like, that was a lot of what he talked about and what he said he is. Like uh, he only has positive beliefs about money. And I said, well, what are your beliefs about money? And he said, money is coming to me from unexpected and expected sources. Money flows to me freely. I'm friends with money. Money loves me and I love money. All those beautiful affirmations. And then I said, bullshit. He looked at me and said, what you mean bullshit? That's what I believe. I said, no, bullshit. Let me ask you something. I say, when was the last time a bill came in that you didn't know how you were going to pay? He said, oh, that was a few weeks ago. I said, okay, remember the moment. Remember the bill came in, you went to the mailbox, you saw the bill, you saw the envelope, you probably already knew who it was from. What happened? My heart sank into my stomach. I said, okay. So then you opened the envelope and you saw what? I saw like an amount due. It was due immediately. I didn't have it in my bank account. I said, what did you think at that moment? He said, fuck this. I never have enough. I can't seem to get ahead. I said, bingo. Now we're on to something. Now this is now you've unlocked something incredible. You've just unlocked the blockage that's there that you pretended wasn't there. This is what you really believe about money in this moment. He looked at me and said, well, fuck. I've been telling myself that I believe something else. I said, yeah. How has that been working out for you? Well, he said, well, not really. Not really. I'm still waiting. I said, okay. So what you have just unlocked makes all the difference. You've just tapped into what you really believe about money. And then he goes, I want to change that. I said, yep. You don't want to just change what happens on the surface. You don't want to just change what you type onto the screen of your brain here. You want to change the underlying software, the program that runs you. We're all run by programs. Now, the more aware that you become, the less of an impact those programs have on you. But you do this in steps by first producing more and more open and conducive programs for you, beliefs about money. Eventually, when you practice the transcendental thinking that I talked about earlier in prayer and meditation, you come to something that I call authentic or natural thinking. Now, authentic or natural thinking then means that the vast majority of your time is not spent between your ears, but it is actually spent in a higher state of awareness from which your thinking originates from. That's a completely different life, because authentic or natural thinking is in alignment, in sync with original consciousness, if you will. It means that you are beginning to express your life in a direction of your purpose, of who you are and who you were meant to be. Now, that is a completely different life and is far beyond positive or negative thinking. But if you want to use those terms, the kind of natural thinking does not put immediate judgment on things that happen in your life. When you transcend that, you are up here. So whatever happens in the human realm, you don't have the same attachment. You don't have the same pains. You don't have the same emotions, because you're in a far more balanced, even more neutral place from which you can see the value of each experience, take what is valuable and apply it to your future decisions. It's a completely different playing field. And that's why the greatest thinkers are actually in an altered state of mind almost all of the time. At least in the background of their perception, that drives them. That allows them to see way beyond the limited scope of things that our senses perceive. It perceives so much more. It is also what some might call fully activated intuition. From that place, we can heal limiting beliefs, we can heal those limiting programs, and we can transform them. But it only works when you first put yourself in an altered state of being. So that works through prayer and meditation, and it works by transcending your thoughts and your emotions that are situated in your body, by expanding your awareness so far that you are basically one with this field of possibilities. Now, that is the powerful place from which you can observe anything in this reality and you don't lose your shit. And you can then look at things that the world perceives to be positive or that the world perceives to be negative with almost the same beingness. Now, that is a powerful place to be. And I would argue that the few people that are reaching this in their lives, I mean, few compared to the masses, are having a vastly different life experience and impact on their own lives and the lives of others. This is why you will never significantly alter your perception of this life, what this is, what this reality is, until you put yourself in a significantly altered state of consciousness. Anyone can do this. The excuses from ADHD, from the inability to focus, all of that are simply questions of discipline. In reality, there is no such thing as ADHD. I'm sorry. I know this is going to go over like a fart in church, but this is the truth. ADHD is an invention by the pharmaceutical and psychiatric community to label and put people into boxes to better medicate them. And that's exactly what this is. It is a symptom of various things that can either be out of balance in your body, out of balance in your mind, out of balance in your biochemistry, out of balance in your habits, but that's what it is. So you can either give yourself over to excuses, or you can give yourself over and open yourself up to solutions. Coming into altered states of consciousness requires discipline and requires focus, and it doesn't happen overnight. You have been hardwired and programmed to be in this avatar and use this perception as your main perception in life. As a matter of fact, most have never even considered that there is something else. So that means you have to break habitual patterns, you have to break biochemical patterns, you have to break hormonal patterns, all of which is absolutely possible if you direct your intention consistently and with discipline. The number one and easiest tool to do that is breath work, like we've said a million times. With breath work, you anchor yourself in present moment. That's the first thing, to step out of the illusions of the future and the past and come into the present, which is the only moment that exists. Through expanded deep breathing, your awareness automatically begins to move beyond your avatar. And then you have to let it. And in the beginning, that's all I would do is give yourself permission to let your consciousness transcend the limitations of your body, of your avatar. And once it does that, and it will probably move maybe a little bit or a few feet outside of it, you will feel vastly different. The next time you might go a little more and a little more until distance, space, and time merge into the eternal now. That is the field you want to play in. From that field, life is observed and created completely different. It changes everything, and you're not part of the matrix perception any longer. You can still see it. You can still know how and why other people see it differently, but you're not part of it any longer. And you transcend it. And the more time that you spend in that state, the more of it you bring back into your present moment awareness. And eventually, it is something that never leaves you again. You could say, in very simple terms, you brought the creator, source, consciousness, this energy back into your life. That's then what happens. From that state of consciousness, you become a conscious co-creator again versus a regurgitator and reliver of all the same old experiences and limitations. A conscious co-creator transcends all other limitations, including what people perceive to be karma. So then you are like the painter in front of an empty canvas, and you begin painting on that canvas. And if you don't like what you paint something else. That's life becomes a completely different journey. You will also be very much detached from those intense needs for materialism. You will just accept that it is part of your experience, use it accordingly, enjoy it when it's enjoyable, but it won't define you or your experience any longer. The irony in this is that when people reach that state and they don't chase after the material things any longer, the material things tend to just appear in abundance because from a more natural state of being, from a more natural state of thinking, if you will, which consciousness then does, abundance is part of your true life. It's part of the true you. So, simply sitting down and thinking positive thoughts and accusing others of not thinking positively won't work. Pretending that a particular already materializing reality does not exist doesn't make it so. In an elevated state of consciousness where you don't fear anything, you're not afraid of it, you have no problem seeing that. From a fearful and limited perspective, you don't want to see the truth because you're afraid of it, because it might hurt you, it might disadvantage you. From an elevated state of consciousness, no problem for you because you know it can never truly hurt you. It can never truly disadvantage you because you're not this body, you're not this mind, you're not of this world. Boom. Now that is what, in my perception, the awakening really is. That's what it really means. It doesn't mean to see just the truth about politics or governments or the deep state or conspiracies, but to realize who you really are and how who you are determines the reality that you create. Which brings me to the last piece of this puzzle for today is that while you have a significant amount of influence over your own reality, your immediate experience, you're also part of a collective reality that you have a lot less influence over directly. So to say that something that collectively is playing out won't happen or doesn't exist won't do anything. What you can, however, do is focus on your particular reality and how you express your intentions, what actions you take. And actions are extremely important because this reality, this construct responds actively to who you are while you're doing what you're doing. And to direct consciousness consciously in a certain direction, to move it in a direction, activates this construct to participate in it with you. And that is powerful. That's when you become a co-creator. And that's when you can literally manipulate, change your reality. So I think that most of these books, most of these programs, and most of these authors have done a great disservice to the people, mainly because they don't know, because they copied something and then they rewrote it and put it out there and put a nice little ribbon on it in a cover, but it goes deeper and it actually requires a true awakening. Otherwise, you're just pushing things from one end to the other. You're just rearranging the same set of tools in this reality. Nothing fundamentally changes. And we go from peace to war to depression to economic uptick and downtick and all those same bullshits. And we never transcend the game. The idea is to transcend the game. So, to go back to the very beginning, if you want to embrace the power of the awesome power of negative thinking for a moment and see how that has its value, embrace the awesome power of positive thinking, see how that has its value, but don't limit yourself to those states. Learn that you can transcend both the positive and the negative and move to a higher place from which you truly become a co-creator. All right. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. And I can only encourage you, like I have been. Our friends at FLFE have actually created a few amazing updates. So, like I have been saying, please hop over, do the free trial. Don't bring your credit card because you won't need it. Don't bring a payment method because they don't take it. Don't think they'll give you a subscription or ask you to purchase anything because they won't do it. They're giving you a 15-day, no strings attached free trial to experience a high consciousness field, which, by the way, when it comes to this subject here, considering all the negative influences that we're exposed to every day, makes all the difference. It is actually much easier to transcend your present awareness, meaning going deeper into meditation or prayer when you're in a high consciousness field. That's why people sometimes go to certain mountains or streams or rivers, because it's a high consciousness field. And when they're in it, everything comes easier. That's what happens when you activate the FLFE field. So within a few minutes, if you go and do the free trial, you can do that. And you're also going to sleep better tonight. I mean, most likely. You're going to feel more harmony. You're also going to feel an easier way to forgive. That all comes very, very quickly. So just hop over. We'll put the link in the description here and in the pinned comment. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. You know we love you. We appreciate you. And we will be back with you again very, very soon.
And right now, you could be only a few clicks away from experiencing something amazing, something that has changed thousands of lives all over the world. I'm talking about a high consciousness field similar to those at pilgrimage sites and sacred places. It's where people go to heal, to connect, and to become the best possible version of themselves. With FLFE, you can bring such a high consciousness field into your home right now. It's a spiritual quantum technology based on the work of Nikola Tesla. Better sleep, more energy, greater well-being, improved finances, electrosmog mitigation. These are only some of the things people on the FLFE service are experiencing. Try it now for 15 days completely free of charge, no credit card needed. Just click on a link down below to start your free, no strings attached FLFE trial right now.